Well, hello there. I made this video to shed some light on the dark secrets of Bohemian Grove and Molech. Now, there's several places in the Bible that talks about Molech, and it's always in a negative way. But I want to talk to you specifically about one area. It says in 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 6 and 7, "And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon." You see, King Solomon set up an altar for the purpose of child sacrifice. And that's not something that you typically hear in the established church by the ministers of Satan who run those places. Now, there's also another Bible verse that I want to talk about that has to do with Solomon. It's in 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 14. It says, "Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold." And that Bible verse lines up with this Bible verse, Revelation 13:18. "Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. You see, King Solomon is the only man in Scripture that was given the number of the beast, or is connected to the number of the beast in any way. And that doesn't necessarily prove anything, but I believe that it should be at least considered. Now, there's also several other things about Solomon that I want to mention that I don't hear in other places, or I haven't heard before. King Solomon numbered Israel for Satan, according to the Bible. 1 Kings 21:1 says, "And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel." And 2 Chronicles 2:17 says, "And Solomon numbered all the strangers that were in the land of Israel, after the numbering wherewith David his father had numbered them." Now, there's also something else in the Bible that kind of lines up the beast with Solomon. It says in 2 Chronicles 7:1, it says, "Now when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices." Now, if we read Revelation 13:12 and 13, it says, "And he exerciseth," well, this is talking about the beast, "and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." Now, according to the Bible also, King Solomon was building his own house, which he didn't get his authority from God to do. It says in 1 Kings 7:1, "But Solomon was building his own house." And this is where he set up the pillars of law and set his throne of judgment. Now, this is very anti-Christ. Jesus said, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." But King Solomon set up a throne of judgment to judge. Another thing about the beast that is different than what a lot of people say. A lot of people are like, well, the beast is somebody in the future, or he's somebody now. But according to Revelation, the beast is somebody who was. In Revelation 17:8 says, "The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. You see, we got these laws mixed up. The people that run these places, the established church, are telling their flock to obey the laws, the law of the land, whatever. Now, Jesus came to fulfill the whole law. But the whole law, according to Romans chapter 7, verse 14, is spiritual. But Jesus also abolished the law of commandments contained in ordinances, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances against us. And that can be found in the book of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 15. So this law of commandments contained in ordinances comes through the pillars of law that King Solomon set up. This is anti-Christ law. We got these judges of law. In 1973, Wade versus Roe, judges decided, they passed a law that said abortion was okay. So here we have, this many years later, it's 2010, we have like 50 million babies who've been killed for money, through the pillars of law that Solomon set up 3,000 years ago, and it's just been unchallenged. Yeah, the beast was and is not, and yet is, because there's structure that was set up a long time ago that just keeps playing out. And these rich men and women who make these judgment calls, they don't want to give up their money, so they just keep selling people out for money. And if these ministers of Satan in the established church, if they spoke against that law, they'd lose their tithes, their false tithes money, which tithes isn't money. It wasn't money in the Old Testament. They'd lose that money to their people that justify themselves by law. They'd lose the money to lawyers and cops and judges and anybody else who justifies themselves by law. So what's happening and what's coming is Christ is going to come here. He's coming, and He's going to remove all of the structure that the beast set up about 3,000 years ago, and things are going to be very different when that happens.